What's up, everyone? Andre here along with Jake and Joey, and we are now a few days removed from Nintendo Direct, and we wanted to discuss everything about it. We've had time to process it, time to understand the Mario RPG actually exists again, which is still blowing my mind. And I thought it'd be fun for us to first off talk about how we felt about the Direct overall real quick, but then dial in, what were the highlights, what were the lowlights, are we still feeling really excited about these announcements? That's what I want to know. So let's get to it, and Jake, let's start off with you real quick. How are you feeling about this Direct now that we're a few days out from it?
10 Direct, 10, I've got 10s in my eyes. I feel like this was such a reminder of Nintendo's place in the industry, what they offer, why their games are so attractive. And I understand every individual person is always looking for individual things, but like for me, I was just like, whoa, that was Nintendo performing at like a top level. Just so much joy came out of that Direct. Loved it.
Wow, great. Yeah. Joey, how about you?
I think it's about an 8. I think it's interesting because I do see a lot of people, like, you know, the initial day of the Direct, there was a lot of hype coming out of it. But I think as time went on, people start to, you know, maybe think a little bit too much about things like, oh, now that I think about it, there was a lot of older stuff in there, you know, like the Super Mario RPG, that itself is a remake of an old game, and you know, we also had some other ports in there. I got super excited for the Batman Arkham Trilogy, but I still thought it was a solid showcase because, you know, there's stuff in there we got excited for. Like, if you watch our reactions, you got super excited about Super Mario RPG. I even got excited about the stuff they showed right after that, like that Princess Peach game, like that Dark Moon remaster thing, whatever that is. And, you know, you saw me get my mic clipped when Batman came up, and overall, yeah, I don't think it was like a 10 out of 10 Direct. There was like still better ones. I thought E3 2019, for example, that was a 10 out of 10 Direct for me. But overall, I still thought it was a really solid showing.
For me, I think I'm actually pretty much with Jake. I don't think it's quite a 10 out of 10. I think it was really good, though. I mean, it's weird. If I look at it from my heart's perspective versus my brain perspective, I could give you two different numbers. You know, we did get a lot of ports and remakes here, and so, a couple of them I don't really, or at least one of them I don't really care that much about. But, you know, when one of those remakes is freaking Mario RPG, it's like, dear God, that is something I never expected to see again. Even if I do wish, you know, maybe they could be changing a little bit more, but, you know, then you risk screwing it up in the, you know, screwing it up in the end. So I think that's great. And then you know, ending with Super Mario Bros. Wonder, I thought was really exciting. Again, something I almost never expected to see again at this point, being a brand new, you know, actually fun looking 2D Mario. So I think overall it was really good, especially for what seems, you know, for what could be, and I assume is a nearing end of life for the initial Switch, you know, Direct. I think that was really strong. They still have momentum on their side, even if there may not have been a huge, massive game. We had some really compelling offerings here. Very solid. So let's get into the specific announcements now. And I want to start off with, for me, Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Ending on this was the right call. They're showing, hey, 2D Mario's back. That's what this looked like. They're ditching the new branding. They're doing something actually new for once, which is great. And it looks like a ton of fun. Like, the focus no longer is strictly only on multiplayer, which I appreciate, though that's still here. And I think in a better form now that you're no longer bouncing into each other. And they're doing stuff that I never expected. Like, with this whole idea where the world effectively comes to life when you grab this special power-up, and like things are doing all kinds of crazy things are happening. Warp pipes are moving around like a caterpillar. Mario turns into like a weird, like long man type thing. It's so freaking crazy. I'm digging this. It's like, this is what I've wanted. I didn't know that's exactly what I wanted, but I'm happy that we got this because it's in the ballpark of what I was hoping for from the series. And the fact that they surprised me with it is just, it's so fun and joyful. But what do you guys think?
It doesn't feel real, in like the best way, though, you know, because it made me realize just how much like the 2D Mario series, the new Super Mario Bros. Series more specifically, has affected how we viewed 2D Mario over the years. We haven't really had a modern 2D Mario experience other than those games. So to see this game that's got a new, fresh art style, the characters look like they have personality now, it's just, it kind of feels like something fan-made, but with a budget, if that makes sense. But like in a good way, still.
It looks like it's coming from people that actually care about 2D Mario. Not that the developers of New Super Mario Bros. Didn't, but it didn't come through in the product, especially with them making 4 of them. Had it just been the original New Super Mario Brothers, I could see that standing alone as like, okay, that was kind of an interesting game. But they did it 3 more times over the course of 15 years or whatever, and it just got to be too much. It looked lifeless, but then you see this, like, my god, that is gorgeous. Now, I have seen a few takes being like, it looks like New Super Mario Brothers, and I don't understand them. I don't get, I'm like, immediately I can see the difference. There are a handful of similarities, but I could immediately be like, no, this is a massive improvement. Mario is emoting. The characters are squashing and stretching. It's like, this looks more cartoonish than we've had from, you know, from Mario since the actual, like, you know, sprite era. And that to me is so freaking exciting. The fact that there seems to be a special life and energy to this, and it makes me want to play. Like, this is what 2D Mario is to me, where each one was a clear evolution of what came before, not just an evolution, like a clear step forward for what the series was before we hit the new line where they all ended up looking the same. So this is what I've been waiting for, and this shows that 2D Mario still has it. Because for a while it felt like 3D Mario is where it's at. That's what Nintendo really cared about, even though 2D Mario sold better. But 3D Mario was where the development and the evolutions were happening. So it's nice to see them return to 2D, show they can still do it there, and I'm so excited to see, you know, how it actually feels going hands-on with this.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I've never in my life been excited or anticipated the release of a 2D Mario game. Never. And
Man,
like, honestly, and it's not even like a knock, but it's like, you know, my conscious being has really been in effect in the entirety of the new Super Mario Brothers era. So every time they showed one, my impression of that franchise or that series was always just, yeah, that again. I guess people really like that. I don't know. And I moved on. And to see this, I think what's really cool about Wonder is that it is a 2D Mario game that plays on your expectations of what a 2D Mario game is. And you like have those little moments in the trailer where like, oh, you're approaching the flag and then the flag like falls over and goes away. The stuff you mentioned about the pipes. And I think it's so easy to focus on the art style because it is so vibrant and inviting and like Nintendo cool, and I think wonder is a really good word. But the gameplay stuff that's new in there that actually like meaningfully changes the way you play. Andre, I think you mentioned this, the multiplayer that you don't run into each other anymore.
Huge. Thank you.
Yeah.
Huge. That like, oh my god, I actually want to play these things multiplayer now.
Yep.
And like, and you notice that you get like the feel of that almost immediately, because anytime there was a demo for an new Super Mario Brothers game and they had multiple characters on screen, it looked stupid. And in this game, it did not. And that's awesome. What a win. What a great win for them. And I think like for the Nintendo Switch, who I think the console had its most exciting year one, clearly evolving a lot of famous franchises, showing a new side to them, and now the Switch is, I think, it's getting into that last era. It's sunsetting. I didn't know they still had a lot of these like reinventions left in them, because we know Nintendo only likes to have, you know, one game on the console and then wait for the next one. So to see this reinvention of something we're all so familiar with, handled with like such care, and to have it have like little things that are gonna appeal to so many people. Be a playable Daisy in this game when like, I don't know, man. How many times throughout the past year did we go like, where's Daisy in regards to the video game or the movie? Playable Peach, for me, like my favorite 2D Mario game is actually Yoshi's Island. And the fact that it looks like I can play this whole game as Yoshi, and Yoshi looks awesome, and you've got a co-op buddy, they can jump on your back. It's like, what is happening in this game? Like, it is just such a good time. And I'm so curious about how this game is going to stack up against like your Tropical Freezes, against your like modern day 2D Legends and Giants, because man, that trailer had so many cool things going for it. I feel like we've never seen Mario move faster. Weird note. Like, you know, there were some parts in that trailer where I was like, man, he's like grinding, he's like doing Sonic stuff, his feet like blur when he runs. This game is like set up to win in such a huge way, and Wonder is a bold title. So like, I don't know, it gets me excited for Nintendo taking such a big swing in the genre that they kind of invented. And like, how will this change things going forward? How will 2D platformers be different forever because of Wonder, you know?
Yeah, I hope so, because we have not seen that from Mario, from Nintendo, and specifically from Mario in literally decades. You know, the new Super Mario Bros. Games are purely iterative. This is finally Nintendo's, you know, doing something new, closer to what Donkey Kong has done with Returns and Tropical Freeze. And if they can match that quality or somehow exceed it, like, this could be an incredible experience. I mean, I like, this should have been the game that the Wii U launched with. I'm not saying it would completely change its trajectory. It may not have had that big of a difference, but I think it would have stood a better chance than it did than launching with the 4th iteration of a game series that we were already sick of at that point. It did nothing really to showcase the Wii U's capabilities, visually at least, where this actually looks different, looks distinct. It's like, yeah, that would have made it feel like a new platform too. So I'm very excited about everything we're seeing here. The only possible concern I have is just how exactly that, maybe someone remembers the power-up the Mario grabs that transforms everything. I'm curious how that dynamic works. Like, why do you need it? Like, do you need to go to this other world? Can you ignore it? Would you want to? Is it, like, what's the benefit to grabbing it? Maybe you do need to, and I'm curious to see how that shakes out. That is a little interesting, where you have, like, the kind of more normal, possibly boring version of the world, the really exciting, crazy version. And it's like, why would I just want to be in that the entire time, you know? So I'm curious how that dynamic works. Especially with how they're mixing up other things too, like they're ditching the time limit, they're ditching the points, which haven't mattered ever. So that makes sense. So I'm just really curious to see like what all they're reinventing here and how all this
ditching the time limit. I forgot about that. Yeah, that stupid time limit. Nobody has ever known why it was there, and now it's finally gone. Yeah, the Wonder Flower maybe I feel like is what they're going for there. Yeah. And my impression was that you could skip it, and it was like, oh, it changes the world. Maybe you get to different things and get to different like collectibles or stuff because you get it, which would be cool. But as you were talking about that too, it kind of made me think that I feel like this is maybe the first time that you can see in a Nintendo game that they were inspired by other art. It feels like they're aware of like an artistic world and took things that they liked and like implemented it in this game. And it's just so cool to see, man. Oh God. Who do you want to play as, guys? Who do you want to play as?
I'm a Mario man.
I know you are. I know you're gonna be.
I'm a Mario man as well. Like anytime I play, I haven't replayed New Super Mario Bros. In a while, but I always feel like I gotta pick Mario. Like any chance I get. Yeah, he's just.
I just know somebody watching,
literally, you know, because he's got a belly.
I just know somebody watching though is sitting there and they're going, Blue Toad. Blue Toad is my guy. We only saw Yellow Toad, but I'm pretty sure. I also think this will be the debut of normal Toad in a 2D game. I think you'll see
That'd
him.
be nice.
Red hat, blue vest. He'll be there. Yeah.
We have to, real quick before we move on, we have to talk about Elephant Mario. They end the trailer with Elephant Mario. By the way, also shout out, you know, this is a purely gameplay trailer, including the Elephant Mario portion. I love that. I love that their stinger is more gameplay and a tease of a major new power-up. But what do we think of Elephant Mario? Both how he looks, how he might function. I had a little video speculating on the fact that he's probably gonna be, I think, sucking up water and can do something with it. Jake, you brought up an idea that I think might tie into my idea, where I thought that maybe he can shoot out the water to like launch himself. And you brought up the fact that elephants, they can't jump. They don't jump.
That's right.
So maybe that's how this guy gets around.
Yeah, it's funny if you look in that where the elephant power up comes out. There's actually like a bunch of little like crates that you might be able to break through to get some coins like right there. And I was like, oh man, maybe that's something. Maybe if you like get that power up there and you happen to be standing right where the spot where it spawned, it would be funny if it like dropped you down. You know what I mean? Because you're so heavy and you didn't even ground pound. You just went like whoosh. Like yeah. So I mean I think Elephant Mario is cool. I think Andre, you have a problem with it not being a suit. Is that the problem?
Yes, this bugs me. This goes against the ethos of the series, where in the 2D games, all the transformations have been suits. He wears a suit. He's not turning into a cat, he's wearing a cat suit. So the fact that he actually literally transforms into an elephant, Jake, minorly bugs me. Like, there is some precedent for it, like in the 3D games, like in Mario Galaxy, turns into a spring and whatnot. But those are their own weird things.
A T-Rex in Odyssey also. So
that's just possession.
He captures a T-Rex, Joey.
Whatever. Oh my God, you guys.
So yeah, minor annoyance. Like I think it's hilarious looking, but I feel like had the Elephant Mario been in the Mario movie, I'd be like, wait a second, this is too weird. But that's probably why they're doing it. This whole game, it could be called Super Mario Weird. Like this is all about doing weird stuff.
Ooh.
I think
would have been such a good title.
Wait, that's good though. Yeah.
Right?
Super Mario weird, dude.
I do
But
think
it does
the
kind of
title,
seem like
I do think the
they're
title
ending-
is kind of weird already.
Yeah.
Just adding wonder to it. But, you know, I'm not going to, like, complain about the title too much. It's fine. I just think it is. Yeah.
I do kind of like, we touched on this in our own discussions earlier, like privately, but I feel like it is kind of like maybe not intentionally, but it does tie in nicely with Mario's origin being not entirely, but largely based on Alice in Wonderland. You know, so having wonder brought back, making that like you're already taking a weird world. The Mario universe is weird, and you're making it freaking weirder, and I love that. So it's I just like how it's all tying together. So yeah, real quick, are we gonna have other elephant transformations for the other characters? Will they have their own thing? What do we think? What do we think is going to happen there?
That's so. Oh man, I have no idea. Like, can you imagine Elephant Daisy? That'd be funny. Just an elephant in a dress.
Yes, I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of think everybody's going to be an elephant, but I say this knowing that like Cat Mario basically carried a whole game. I'm like, I just feel like, are they really just gonna do like Elephant Mario and there not be other animals? There's gotta be other animals. There's gotta be. You gotta be able to turn into some weird bird. Yeah.
It actually is really interesting just from a marketing perspective and how they're presenting it. Like Elephant Mario, he was at the end of the trailer. Briefly, he is in the background on the box art.
Yeah.
I'm getting the vibe it's actually not a major component of this new game. Not like how the cat suit was a major focus of Super Mario 3D World. To the point you had literally every character on the box twice, once all in cat suits. So I'm not quite getting that same vibe in this case. But I do hope that everyone has their own elephant-like transformation or their own unique animal transformation. You know, if they maybe Luigi turns into, I don't know, what's another heavier animal? Like, I think a giraffe came to mind, I think. Or what?
A whale.
A whale, sure. Why not? Let's make it happen. Let's move on to another shocking return to form, or return in this case, being Super Mario RPG. So this was not on anyone's radar, except for a few hours before there was a Twitter account that we had reported on earlier because they had accurate stuff in the past, and they had teased after our own report, after we talked about it, some of the games being in there, including like hints of what could have been a Mario RPG. Now, the weird thing about this is I kind of brushed it off, but at the same time, I had been hearing my own little stories like in the industry from like, I don't want to get too many specifics, but like things that I would normally completely brush off and would have until this other Twitter account came out. I'm like, wait a second. This is all making sense now. Like, it's like, this seemingly disparate information that I would have totally tuned down, like, or maybe this actually is amounting to something. And sure enough, we got it. The Return to Mario RPG, we've not seen this since the Super NES, minus Virtual Console re-releases. It missed out on the, hasn't been on Switch yet, so it makes sense that we're finally seeing it again now, or why the hell out, in completely remade form. And I think they're doing such a great job here. Like, it's very true to the original, like almost one-to-one to the original, minus a handful of new bonuses that we've seen that we've touched on. But I am myself digging how they've managed to capture the essence of the style then, while modernizing in a way that makes sense. Because the original game was using, then state-of-the-art pre-rendered graphics. Didn't age especially well. I think it's fine, but like if you try to modernize that look exactly, it would look very out of place. So I think they did a great job going for like kind of chibi-like art style that still feels reminiscent of the original, like immediately identifiable. I'm just excited to have it back. It's like, there's my boy, there's Gino, yes, and it looks great.
That's crazy, because apparently like Nintendo's been very particular about how their characters look these days, which is why now all the Paper Mario Toads look the same instead of like unique like they used to be. But to see them go back to this is very telling, maybe, of what their philosophies will be in the future. Maybe if this does well, we'll get a sequel to this game that just is insane to think about. But yeah, this is a game I never played, even though I think I own it on the Wii U Virtual Console. I never touched it, so I'm definitely gonna have to wait for that Switch version, which is a weird sentence to say in 2023, because I remember us saying that all the time in 2017, but now here we're doing it again.
Yeah, Super Mario RPG, I think like as we get further away from the announcement, people are gonna forget just how like impossible this has seemed for so long. Like it seemed impossible that we were even gonna get it on NSO. like that level of yeah. So to get a remake, I think is really cool. It does kind of hit something on for me that I think Nintendo is a little bit behind in kind of like the wider industry's ideology of the remake right now, because they are doing what is very much like a one-to-one thing, which I think is going to appeal to some people, but there is a version of this game that I think when you're like wandering around in the overworld where the camera is like pulled down and it's behind you and you get like this whole view of everything. And there's maybe even a version of this game where they convert the combat system into something that isn't turn-based. And like, I don't know, it's like Square Enix is killing it in a lot of different ways right now. And you know, they've obviously have experienced remake. I mean, you know, like from Final Fantasy VII to Final Fantasy VII remake that's going on right now. Like that's, you know, that's the kind of remake that makes you go, whoa, remake, yeah, you know.
Can we even call it a remake? They're changing everything. But yeah, I know what you mean.
That's true. Yeah, same thing with like the Resident Evil games. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we're making this for like a modern context right now, and that's not what we're doing with the Mario RPG. But I also think that that's okay in a way, because like the JRPG, the RPG, like has a really nice comfort spot on the Nintendo Switch in particular because of the handheld nature. And I think to a lot of people, I made this point on Twitter, for so many Nintendo Switch owners, vast majority, this will be the first time that they ever experience this game. Yep. This is like a new game. So when people talk about this being like, oh, it's just an old game, I'm like, like, I guess, you know, I don't know. It feels new to me.
Yeah, it's so weird, Jake. This is where, like, earlier I was speaking from my heart, but then I look at it from my brain. It's like, did we really need this? Mario RPG still plays well. I played it a few years ago. Still, I said it looked, you know, didn't age especially well graphically. I think it still looks fine. Like, it still works, especially taking into the context of when it came out. And, you know, this game, with it being essentially one-to-one, like, is it really all that different from instead of just having released it on NSO for effectively free, where anyone could play it then who has a subscription to it? And that's where things get weird for me. But I'm like, do we just remake games until the end of time? You know, or do we let them stand, you know, do we let the good ones just continue to exist as, you know, as they were, and they still play well? Because Mario RPG didn't need to be fixed. As far as we can tell, they're not really fixing anything, unless they haven't announced it outside of the graphics and, you know, general presentation. I don't know, so it's weird. It's like, are we gonna get Mario World remake someday? Like, I want it, my heart says I want it, but I'm like, I still can play the original Super Nintendo version just fine. So I don't know, that's where things get a little weird. I mean, like, ultimately, I think my perfect scenario would have been had they made a game called Mario RPG 2 in this style. Pick up from the original, do it in this style, that'd be freaking amazing. But knowing that's not happening, I'm still excited for it, even if, again, it exists in that weird space where I'm like, I'm paying the, you know, full price to play a game that I already own and could just play again and probably enjoy largely to the same capacity. And I don't know, that's where things get a little weird. But putting that aside, you know, turning off my brain, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I'm excited. Gino's back. That's what I need. Looks awesome, looks great, looks like, you know, true to the original with some smart updates, and, you know, or smart, you know, some well-done graphical updates. And it does look like they are adding at least a couple of things with, for one, these new cutscenes, which I think might be tied into special attacks, because there seems to be a new meter too now that exists in the corner that seems to be building up. I'm guessing that's like a new team-based attack. So I think that maybe what we're seeing in those cutscenes are these really epic attacks you can now do when you, like, power up that meter. And that's kind of exciting.
Cool. The other thing that this signaled to me is that, and maybe this is just in my imagination, but I feel like Mario is like going through something at Nintendo right now. They're just like thinking about him differently, and maybe this has to do with the movie, but like this little like baby cherub Mario that we get in Super Mario RPG is like very similar to like the small version of Mario that I think is running around in Wonder before he gets like a mushroom. And it's funny, we actually brought up Super Mario RPG at the very beginning of this year, like in our predictions, because we were talking about how like the characterization of like Bowser in particular, and a lot of the characters are kind of similar to stuff that they do in the movie. And I don't know, it just makes me so curious about like what's going down over at Nintendo right now and how they're like thinking about Mario and what Mario means to them. And I think like the next 3D Mario is going to be like really weird and telling. And yeah, it's just like he's just like an interesting spot right now, especially even in the spin-offs where we see like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe kind of being like the ultimate, you know, the Smash Ultimate equivalent of Mario Kart. Like, what's the next thing? What's the plan for this character? And it just seems like he's in a different space than he has been in for decades.
Yeah. Totally. No, as a Mario fan, it's actually a really exciting time for the character.
A lot of people call this a Mario Direct.
Yeah, it basically was. Because they are really just doing some new things with the character, you know, theme parks, movies, the games, evidently, and I love that. Like, it's like, it feels like that they were too safe in the, like, the Wii era, especially when it came to the 2D games. Like, it's like, no, this is Mario, he cannot stray from this, he must look like this at all times, you can't change anything. It's like, now they're more open to experimentation again, which is, so it seems like they're less rigid in their beliefs, almost going back to like the earlier days when they, you know, when Mario didn't have a fully formed personality or game essence yet. You know, they're still figuring things out, and it feels like they're kind of going back to the more experimental era again. That's what I'm loving seeing in every sense. So I hope they continue that. And that may continue, possibly, with a surprise announcement. A minor surprise announcement. I say minor because they barely showed anything of it, to the point that Nintendo didn't even upload it themselves. But we got a brand new Princess Peach game here, announced for Switch. They didn't show much. We don't really know much about it, but Jake, you did a great breakdown, especially based on your history of stage plays. On, like, what this could mean. So I'm curious, Jake, how are you feeling about this game now? You've had a little bit more time to process it, what it could be, and what you're thinking for it.
Yeah, first, I think it's really cool that Peach is headlining a game and that it doesn't go for a lot of the contrivances that DS game went for.
Yeah.
Crying,
that's a superpower because she's a woman.
Oh, God, yeah.
Jesus, that's so bad.
It's like Peach is Jean Grey, dude. Those emotions, they're just, yeah. So... so I think that's really cool. Similarly, I noticed during like I'm gonna tie it in, during the Pikmin 4 trailer, I was like, man, dude, we're putting like women in these games, we're putting black people in these games. This is like a different Nintendo. I feel like they're thinking about stuff. So yeah, big win for Princess Peach fans, not just with the Mario movie, but now with this game this year. It's like, Peach fans are eating. And to me, the coolest thing about this game trailer was that it like gave me nostalgia for being in musicals, which I'm like, oh my God, a Mario game did this, how? And it's just because I think there's such a really good like verisimilitude to how they made everything go up on the stage. It's like, yeah, those like houses, they look like the kinds of houses that would be back, you know, in the background during a musical. It's like, oh, the lights, they're like, obviously, like, that's got a goby on it. That's got a this, like, oh, that's a scrim. They flew that in. There's people waiting in the wings. There's, you know, and so much really cool stuff going on. And I think the big part of the most interesting thing in my analysis was that it looks like the game, from what we can tell, takes place entirely in like this box that is the theater, and you interact with things, kind of like explore that space, and it makes the world transform around you rather than you exploring a world, which is really like kind of a unique idea that I don't remember ever being done in a game before. So it's like, so that aspect of it, I think, is just maybe like a really cool, it's high concept. And the idea of experiencing a game like that, seeing how much can you get out of this really little space. It doesn't look like Peach moves very fast or has like a ton of actions. So like, what is the game? And I think there's a lot there that is, I'm really curious about. Just like, what is Nintendo going to do with this idea? And I think it looks nice. I thought it just like was pleasing to look at. Yeah.
What really gets me is like it is visually pleasing to the eyes. Like what we've seen, what very little we've seen of it. It made me think for a second, for like maybe a few minutes actually, that this was going to be like a next gen sort of game. But you know, we've seen Luigi's Mansion 3 and that game looks stunning. So I'm not gonna bet on it being next gen. Also, like the kind of game it looks like it's being, it doesn't really look like a next-gen system seller. It could probably be cross-gen at some point, who knows. But yeah, it does actually remind me of Luigi's Mansion 3, specifically that floor with like the TV studio, how they're playing with sets in there. So yeah, I definitely think it's got some inspiration going there. I don't even know if it's being developed by Next Level. I mean, they just recently came out with Mario Strikers, so probably not. But yeah,
that would be really cool, though. You know what I mean? To get that kind of, especially in something that's like about performance, to get that kind of capture those kinds of animations that they're known for. That would be like a really cool pairing for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn more about this game. Like just the fact that we know almost nothing about it, but from what I've seen, I'm definitely just like, give me more, Nintendo.
Yeah. There was no tease of Mario too, which I liked. There was no. He's intrinsically tied to this. It was like this is
There's nothing tying this to Mario outside of Peach.
Yeah,
There's literally nothing here. All the characters seem to be unique. The entire style of gameplay seems to be different. Yeah, I'm excited. I'm glad the game exists. I need to see more. We saw almost nothing, so it's not almost not even fair to judge on any level at this point. I will say, I think from what little we have seen, it looks like the kind of game that is going to bore me very quickly. I'm more into the quicker paced, action-focused platformers. I'm like, this looks more like the Yoshi style, like Woolly World, which didn't quite do it for me. But I do like, as Jake was touching on, the whole idea of it seemingly being based on a play, especially if they can play with the fourth wall breaking element. If they actually make that a mechanic in the game, whether it's like pleasing the audience or whatever it is, that could be cool. Mario RPG, or rather Paper Mario, play with this a little bit themselves, especially in Thousand Year Door, where the battles took place on the play. You try to like appease the audience, set pieces could drop down. It was really cool stuff. If they really fleshed out for a whole game, it could be really freaking cool. So again, too early to say for sure. It's encouraging, and I'm glad Peach is finally getting a second attempt at a game seemingly worthy of her, rather than that DS crap. So
yeah, I think it's going to be more similar to like Super Paper Mario than people think. Because even like Peach running around, having like that little character kind of like up and on their shoulder, it reminded me so much of Super Paper Mario, having like that little polygon butterfly thing. Remember that?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, the Paper Mario games in general are always, almost always like a companion mechanic. So yeah, we don't even know how like the battles really work. Like we saw a quick attack from Peach, but it'll be interesting to see what happens here. So cool. It's nice to see something again from Nintendo that like looks different to the point that we don't even really fully know what's going on there. Now on the opposite end of the spectrum, there were actually, I don't want to go there yet. I was gonna mention the port. Actually, I do. Screw it. Let's go to Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, which looks to be not quite a remake. It looks to be effectively a port with some redone assets, like Luigi's models improved. It's running a higher resolution, but I look at that game like that looks like a 3DS game upscaled, And,
totally. Like you compare, especially when you compare it to Luigi's Mansion 3, which like one of the best looking Switch games, bar none. And then here it comes, and it's just, it really does look like I don't want to merely just say it's upscaled. Like, from my comparison, they clearly did go in and just redo some of the textures and stuff. But for the most part, it is looking to be more of a straight port. It's going to be very sad if they price this at $60, but as someone who hasn't played Dark Moon and loved Luigi's Mansion 3, I'm down to visit it. I'm not expecting it to be nearly as good as Luigi's Mansion 3, but yeah, I'm definitely going to check this out when it comes out on Switch. I have it on 3DS, didn't play it, but now I'm just like, if I'm going to play this game once, I'm going to play it on Switch,
Yeah, you know what's weird? This might be my favorite Luigi's Mansion game, and I'm still like, I'm still kind of like, I don't know why this is here. I don't know, So yeah, it's just like not exciting, and I think especially when we're looking at like the 3DS catalog, I don't think this was anybody's first pick.
No.
So
so it's just returns. It's right there.
I just don't quite understand like who at the table is like, oh guys, we're gonna do Luigi's Mansion 2 on Switch, right?
Especially this late in the Switch's life. This late in the Switch's life too. Maybe earlier it would have made sense, but now it's like you come out with the best Luigi's Mansion game ever on Switch, and it's just like, hey, here you go. Here's.
1 isn't on Switch, right?
No, it's not.
No,
it's on 3DS.
This is so weird.
Right, it's very because we there is obviously a GameCube emulator. We've seen that in Mario Sunshine on 3D All Stars, again with Pikmin 1 and 2, which we'll get to soon enough. Why not the first one? Maybe it's still coming, but it's weird that they're working maybe backwards to it. Yeah, I don't quite understand it. For me, Dark Moon felt like a step down from the first game. I really like the mechanics of the first game, and Dark Moon didn't quite hit it on it for me. Maybe I'll appreciate it more given the fact that I did like Luigi's Mansion 3 more than 2. So I don't know, but yeah, it's a weird title. at this point, especially with, you know, it's weird because Luigi's Mansion kind of like a graphical showcase generally. It was on the GameCube, to a degree it was on 3DS as well, it had good use of the 3D, it looked good for the system, and Luigi's Mansion 3 is one of the best looking games on the system still, even, and it's weird that now we're getting a kind of like an unimpressive port of Dark Moon, which, hey, it's another game to have, that's good. People missed on 3DS probably, so even though we won't have the 3D effect, which is a bit of a bummer, but it's like, do we really want it? You know, I don't know.
Can I tell you what I think's going on with this?
Yeah.
Because I really was like, what is like the content release plan for this game? They said it's not coming out this year, it's coming out next year. And honestly, to me, I think this is them giving away the ghost a little bit in, I remember when, like, the Wii U was ending its life, and some of those games started showing up on 3DS, like Yoshi's Woolly World.
Right.
Yeah. And sometimes you just get, like, at the end of a console's life, you just get, like, some random ports, like Kirby's Epic Yarn on 3DS. It's like, sure, all right, like, yeah, why not? And I kind of think that's what's going on. I don't know how many more Switch-focused general Nintendo Directs there are going to be again before we have a successor console or before one is revealed. And this kind of feels like with Peach as well, you know, gotta announce these games before they seem not as cool because of the new console.
Oh man, that would be so sad if Peach, like, of course, I've seen very little of it, but I thought it was still impressive. But that would be sad if Peach became one of those, like, throwaway Switch games near the end of its life. Dude. That would be so sad.
Your Samus Returns, you know, you're like,
exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think in this case, we don't know for sure, obviously. I think it's a little different, but I don't think we're going to have that steep transition into a new system. I think, like, everything on Switch will continue to work on Switch 2, so I feel like it's going to be much more gradual, so I don't think we're going to get, but I do feel like, to your point, Jake, Dark Moon does kind of feel like a game of that caliber. Like, hey, let's just throw something. We need, like, we have a hole, what do we fill it with? Let's dump Luigi's Mansion on there for some reason.
So weird.
They announced it in June of 2023, though it will not come out till 2024. And, like, what are you, like, you know, if that's, I just can't, I don't know.
Who knows? So I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be good. I wish it looked a little better. You know, like, I mean, I wish that if they had updated to the caliber of Luigi's Mansion 3 graphically, it's like, okay, I get it. That looks great. Sure, let's check it out. But it's like, that looks like how I remembered it, even if it is technically better. And I didn't love it originally, so I don't know if I want to play it myself. But, you know, again,
or add something in there. Be like, oh, you can play co-op. Luigi is in. Yeah, Luigi's in. You know what I mean? That'd be like, oh. Yeah. To
be fair, you know, Nintendo has done this before where they show off a game and they leave out some big new addition, you know, and that could be something that keys down the line.
And we only got 19 seconds of footage, if that, so,
it was pretty quick, exactly. Yeah. So, hey, hopefully there's some new mechanics in there or new additions, new content, whatever it is. Maybe it'll fully justify replaying it, so.
Yeah.
Another, not technically a Mario game, but Mario adjacent. We got a new WarioWare, being WarioWare Move It, and apparently, based on the Japanese title, it makes it, like, I identified this immediately, but apparently the Japanese title makes it even clearer that this is a sequel to WarioWare Smooth Moves on the Wii. Which, that's been it's been a long time, and that actually has me excited. I wasn't the biggest fan of the game, but I definitely appreciate what it did, and it looks like this one is doing all the right things with the idea of having this, like, more movement-based stuff, and I'm pretty jazzed for it. Like, it's weird because I look at this, I'm like, why are you making everybody horse? Everybody wants you to switch. This game looks way better. Like, why are you making that game when you already have a game using movement that looks way more fun and exciting?
Smooth Moves is the only WarioWare game that I've, like, played, like, the entirety of. I rented it one summer in middle school. I remember, like, just sweating. I was sweating playing this game. I loved it so much. So I am super excited for this. Like, what was it? Get It Together was the last WarioWare game. I remember I just played the demo of that, and I'm like, okay, this is fine. It's not exactly what I want out of a WarioWare game, but then, like, this one comes in, and I'm just like, yes, day one. Let's go.
Get It Together kind of has, like, the energy of a WarioWare game made by, like, a different company. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing. It's like, oh, that's not what this is. I think I'm a little disappointed that it's like, it's so Smooth Moves, but, like, I kind of think that this is, like, a great game that's maybe not, like, perfect for a Direct, because honestly, I have friends that are more, like, casual video game players that had Wiis that, like, non-stop. They loved smooth moves. It was one of those games that penetrated.
Right.
And they like they knew what it was. And I remember people like asked me for years, like, oh, is there another game like this? And I was like, I guess not. Like, you know, and it's such a weird thing. And I think it very much is like that. It is smooth moves. And all that stuff where they're like, oh, you move your body this time. It's like, yeah, we did that last time. For me, I would have liked a little bit of a nod. I know they don't do this anymore, but just like a little like, oh, these are some HD rumble, the IR thing, some creative use of the handheld, like maybe something, you know, just something that was like, oh, this is on the Switch. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, it could still be there. There are over 200 micro games, which is a lot. So I wouldn't be surprised if there could be more of it. But although I guess given the emphasis on move it, you know, moving yourself, moving your body. I don't know why I keep iterating on this.
Keep going.
Yeah, I'll just go on forever. Yeah, you're maybe right. It may not have anything there. Although it's funny because I wanted this idea ever since Ring Fit. I'm like, this Ring Fit stuff would be perfect for a WarioWare game. You got this fun wheel, you can turn, you can squeeze it, you've got the leg brace. So, I mean, they're basically doing something similar, you know, with just the Joy-Cons, but I kind of hope that there's still like a Ring Fit option in there. Like, give me something, you know, because I feel like that would have been perfect for it. But
yeah, that could be the new form baton or something.
Exactly, right?
Yeah.
They could really play with that, so.
You know, I think they should have called it WarioWare Move Smooth #1. And that I will say, I gotta give them credit. That clip of all of like the soda bottles, like crazy moving, it's like high tier comedy for some reason. They like know what they're doing in a way. So it's a good time. It's a good announcement.
Yeah, WarioWare games are low key hilarious, and again, it really just makes the announcement of everybody wanting to Switch look redundant and bad.
Well, on that topic though, I think it's important to note that was not in this Direct, which I think makes it to me, that adds to why I perceive this Direct as a 10, because they released that trailer the night before, and the day after they put out that like weird thank you video for the Mario movie, being like, oh, thanks for watching the Mario movie. That seemed clearly cut out of the Nintendo Direct. So I was like, yo, this Nintendo Direct knew. They were like, let's not have the dip with everybody's 1-2 switch. Let's not have the dip with this thank you video that's weird. And they got it.
But they couldn't cut out the farm games. I'm just kidding. There was like 2 of them, maybe.
No, you can't avoid the farm games.
Nope.
Yeah, to your point, Jake, not to bring it back to the beginning too much, I just think the pacing in general was really good here. I don't think there was not a point where they really lost me, which is unusual. They usually have those extended segments where I'm like, I'm tuning out, I don't care. No, there was constant announcements here. Even if they weren't all bangers, like there was always something interesting happening.
Yeah, and you know what's a weird one too? People were telling me after this Direct, they're like, Jake, and nobody paid attention, but there was a game called Palia. It's an MMO, and that game is a banger. And so many people were like, this is like Animal Crossing, but it's an MMO. It's really good. People on Switch would really like it. That's why it's in this Direct. But like, it's, you know, it's unfamiliar to us, so it's like a sleeper moment. So, so I think good Direct.
Let's do a speed run of a couple of things here. Because continuing the Mario train, we got the, I think our first actual look at the Last Spark Hunter DLC for Mario plus Rabbids Sparks of Hope.
Right.
Where we actually got to see King Bob in action and all that. Is this convincing anyone to pick up the game or return to it?
I'm like barely scratched the surface of that game, so I'm just way behind on it. Like, and every time I play it, I just don't have the patience to like have to redo a battle every time I lose. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that game's very good, is where I've come down on it. I just prefer Kingdom Battle, like, by far. So I'm not interested. Yeah.
There was a weird appeal in the rigidity of how the battle system worked that they kind of lost, I feel like, in this new one.
I got that.
I don't know if that's entirely why it lost me, but yeah, I played it. You know, I really like what they're doing there in many respects. The game, it's a cute game, cute characters. I love the art style, but I just fell off of it, and I haven't felt the need to go back. And so I don't think this DLC is going to convince me, even though I love King Babam, but yeah.
Which is a bummer, because I love
Babam. That's a good...
Yeah, which is a bummer, because I love Rayman, and I know they didn't talk about Rayman in here, but I just like, oh, he's coming back, and I don't know if I'll be able to play him.
Also, we got a tease of the Wave 5 Booster Course DLC for Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Only the tease of 1 course and 3 new characters being Petey Piranha, Wiggler, and Kamek. And then the new track is based in the bathroom, maybe adjacent to that bedroom
Speedway. Yep.
Thank you. Glad you got the title there.
It looks very impressive. I don't really care
much.
Yeah. I think it does. Yeah. I don't really care much for Mario Kart in general, but I did like what I saw here, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it's like.
It's the first time I've seen a brand new track, besides Yoshi's Island perhaps. I'm like, okay, that looks like it was actually designed for Mario Kart 8 and not Tour, even though that may still be the case. But it avoided the Sky High Sunday problem of like looking clearly like it was made for Tour and just brought over to 8.
You're right, it did avoid that. It actually does look like a Mario Kart 8 course. I also liked Wiggler, PD Piranha, and Comic. To me, that's like the little weird freak trio, and I love them. They're awesome. Those are like three great characters. Happy they're there. I kind of agree with you though, Joey. There's a degree to which Mario Kart 8 is just kind of like stale for me at this point. So anytime it starts running, my eyes like glaze over a little bit, and I'm like, yeah, no, I only see the numbers anymore. I like don't even see the game. It's just like, yeah.
No, I mean, I'm right there with you, like Jake. Like, I mean, I like the track. I'll play it. I like the details are added to it, but like, I'm so sick of Mario Kart 8. Like, they can add a billion more tracks. I don't give a damn. I just want a freaking new game. And people are like, why? It's the best feeling mechanically. And for one, I don't agree with that. For two, even if it is, I need the next one to feel different. I'm sick of the physics. I'm tired of how it feels. I need something new. I need something new to like to learn and get used to. And I don't know, more power-ups, just something different, please, God. This game's been here for almost 10 years at this point. I need something new.
Seriously.
So.
Well, and with how Mario Wonder looks, it like makes my mind race with like, oh man.
I see what you did there. Race.
Yeah. But like for real, about like what is Mario gonna look like in Mario Kart? Is he just gonna look like the same Mario we've had this whole time, or is he gonna be a little different? Because I feel like 2D Mario games, typically those are like unbelievable selling games, right? Those are like the cream of the crop.
Yep.
And yeah, in the way that Mario Kart is. So I feel like if they're willing to do that over here, maybe they're willing to do that over here too.
Mario Kart Wonder,
I hope you're
let's
right.
go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that'd be great. I mean, I think it makes sense too to like mix it up. That way they can always fall back to the previous style they need to if it ends up underperforming or people don't like it or whatever. But I think, it's time to experiment with Mario Kart 8 or Mario Kart, and because I think they need to as well. You can't release I feel like they can't really release a similar title that is just burning people out, because I myself am burned out on it. Give me, like, I used to play Mario Kart recreationally all the time. I still do for our weekly streams every now and then. But like, I'm not going back to it very often these days, and I want to. I hate that I feel that way, but I'm just so sick of this game. So
yeah.
All right, that concludes the Mario portion, I believe, of the Direct, which I actually forgot how Mario-focused it was.
Yeah, it's
because
crazy.
It was ridiculous. But we did get a surprise non-Mario announcement, being with the port news of Pikmin 1 to Pikmin 2, seemingly being partially or updated versions of the GameCube games, same graphics still, but in HD, in widescreen, with motion controls, which could have been lifted from the Wii version.
They're kind of lifted.
More to that,
I've been playing Pikmin 1 these past few days. The motion controls on Pro Controller, at least, only activate when you like hold down B to whistle, or when you hold A to like get ready to throw a Pikmin. Like, the motion control will still be there for a bit after you throw them if you wanted to keep tapping A. It's weird, but it's still a playable port. I'm not disappointed with it. Like,
so the cursor's not there constantly on screen?
The cursor's there constantly, but it's only controlled with the control stick until you hold B or A. Very strange.
Oh, right, wait, I kind of like that in theory. Does it not work?
It works fine, I think. I think it's a bit odd that it's not there the whole time. There's not even an option to turn it on the whole time.
That's not how Pikmin 3 worked, I think. You can aim anywhere in Pikmin 3 at all times.
Yeah,
you can.
And I think that's how the Wii versions work too, for Pikmin 1 and 2.
Yeah, that is how it works. So it's weird that it's not here the whole time. But
interesting.
I don't think it's an offensive change, but I know people are very upset that the licensed products in Pikmin 2 are gone. You see the Twitter replies and they're just like, my Duracell, no!
You know what? It's silly, but I also kind of get it. It's so weird because as a kid, I didn't even acknowledge that as product placement. I'm like, oh, that's a cool thing I recognize from the real world.
Yeah.
And I think that's what kind of made it a little more fun too, because Pikmin's always had this vague, like, Earth-like connection, kind of like Splatoon, where it seems to take place in the future, and Pikmin 2 really leaned into that with the real world products. And, you had things like 7-Up bottle caps, you had some Nintendo products in there. So those are fun little things, and, even if, like, now I can look like, okay, were they trying to manipulate me to buy more 7-Up in the future? But
buy more Duracell, 8-year-olds, do it.
Yeah, exactly, right. So I kind of get it, like, it was a fun little thing there, and like grabbing a generic battery isn't as fun as a Duracell, but it's also not, it doesn't really change much at the end of the day, but I always prefer the games to be as faithful as possible, and that is a notable change.
Right.
So
Sure.
But yeah, good games. Both are really good. I appreciate Pikmin 2 more now. Last time I played than I did at the time. Pikmin 1 especially is perhaps the most unique in the series, given it has that arguably harsh, not too harsh, but like they have that time limit where like if you fail, that's it. That's game over. Which actually might tie into a video you made, Joey, about a wild Pikmin 4 theory. So. Yeah.
Yep, check that out.
I'm really glad that these games are on Switch. I'm like excited to play them. I think they're really solid games. I think they're fun to have handheld. So yeah, like heck yeah, have that. I kind of like this trend we're seeing of having like an entire franchise playable on Switch too. I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, good ad for Pikmin 4 too.
It is, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Although I am surprised that they released them so soon. Just two
It's
Pikmin
really
4
close. Yeah, only a month beforehand.
Right, maybe they'll do the same for Metroid Primes 2 and 3 before Metroid Prime 4.
Maybe they'll do the same for Wind Waker and Twilight Princess before Tears of the King. Oh wait,
dang! That's done more somehow.
It is weird. Just real quick, it's odd how I don't know. Maybe it's me projecting. I feel like are people more excited for these Pikmin ports than they are for the Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon port?
100%.
Yeah. Because one, they're out now, and they're not and they're cheap.
That's a good point.
Like cheaper than like a full priced game. But yeah, I guess that they're cool. I mean, I'm playing Pikmin 1 right now. I'm having a fun time with it. I only played like half of Pikmin 1 on Wii, and I got really frustrated by the difficulty, so I stopped. But yeah, I mean, I don't see anyone like going like over the moon for these Pikmin ports. But it is that novelty.
Or the Dark Moon?
The Dark Moon release ports, yeah, so great. But yeah, it's just cool to have them out, like shadow dropped, too.
More nostalgic for the GameCube than the 3DS. I think
that's probably
the Switch has an original Luigi's Mansion game.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's again, nobody was asking for Dark Moon on Switch. Nobody. So I don't. Yeah.
That's 100% true. The only downside, I think, is the fact that this is kind of nail in the coffin for GameCube coming to NSO anytime soon.
Oh yes, it is.
Good call. Good call.
But it is gives me a little more hope for like other ports too. Like I think even Triss mentioned in our predictions like a GameCube Shadow Drop would be here, and they were right.
Yeah.
So that's really cool, and I hope we see more of them. Like I don't know. I don't see how they could Shadow Drop F-Zero like without a new F-Zero game coming out. But
You're right, though. It signifies something with like a little bit of a release strategy here, because like we even saw like this Pikmin 1 and 2 got a physical, which I was reading that in the press release, and they're like, yeah, the physical will be available tomorrow, and I was like, yeah,
no, actually not tomorrow.
I don't think, yeah. So it was, yeah, it
was September, I believe, is the release date. September 22nd is when they're coming out. Physically.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, moving on, we have a game that looks like a port, but I don't think is, because we got a surprise return of Detective Pikachu Returns.
Oh, which God.
Do we know? Is that a sequel? Is that a sequel?
I think it is.
It is the sequel. It is the sequel.
So that's a bummer, because I didn't play the first one.
Right, and I think it was understood by a lot of people that the first one was going to come to Switch, but it's not here, and it looks like it's not coming. Something definitely weird was going on behind the scenes with this game, given it was announced in 2019, and we're only just seeing it now. But yeah, the 3DS game left off on a hard cliffhanger. This one follows up on it, and I think it was a disappointing trailer because it's so not shocking. It's so like it's you're sitting here wondering. You're sitting here wondering if it's the first game or not. Like they don't do anything that makes you go, what? And it's and I think they think that is Pikachu with like a shaving cream beard going, oh, I gotta solve the mystery. And it's like, no, we've seen that. We're over that. It's not exciting
anymore. We had a whole movie
anymore.
about it, you know?
Right. Yeah. They needed to show a Squirtle on a roof thinking about jumping. And then whoa, God! It's like that would have been something. But you know what I mean? There wasn't a moment in the trailer that everybody's like talking about on social media, so it's ultimately forgettable.
Also, we're talking about upscaled 3DS games, right? We call the Luigi's Mansion like Dark Moon remaster or whatever, like just an upscaled 3DS game. That looks way better than this. Like, Detective Pikachu visually just looks awful. I'm gonna say it. It looks bad. Like, I guess that's what we've come to expect from Pokemon, I guess, lately. But yeah, what a disappointing looking game.
They gave me no reason to be excited for that game.
No.
I played a little bit of the 3DS one. It didn't do a whole lot for me, and they showed nothing here to change my opinion of what I had played before. It's like, all right, that looks about what I remember, graphically and otherwise. So yeah, kind of weird announcement. Like, I'm glad people who are fans are finally getting the game that they had promised, I think, years ago now. Like, we've been hearing about this forever, and that's what's even more shocking. I've been hearing about this game for so freaking long, and it looks like this.
Yeah.
All right, whatever. I guess while on the topic of port-like things, another surprise, the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection Volume 1, which is kind of telling in of itself, but this one includes the original 3 Metal Gear Solid games plus the 2 NES ones. That's a good collection. I never played the NES ones. I'm excited. Yeah. I've been wanting to revisit some of that trilogy too. I mean, I wish they'd gone a step further and they had included the remake of the first one, being Twin Snakes. But in any case, this is pretty cool. I think it's a good collection. I'd love to replay too.
Yeah, I've played these games before, but once only, so it'd be cool to revisit them. What's interesting about the first 2 Metal Gears is that, like, so there was NES versions of those games, but they're completely different than the originals on MSX, I think, is the console. So you're getting like the MSX ones, and those are like the definitive like canon entries with like actual story stuff that's brought up in Metal Gear Solid, the first one. So, and I actually played those 2. They're included in Metal Gear Solid 3, and I think that's how you'll access them here. So yeah, I mean, they're not for everyone. They of course haven't aged particularly well, but it was cool to see like some story stuff that was mentioned in Metal Gear Solid. They're not super necessary. You could start with Metal Gear Solid 1. But yeah, and apparently Volume 2 is going to have Metal Gear Solid 4, which I don't believe for a second, but I would love to be wrong.
Did they talk Volume 2?
No, it's a rumor
it came out over the past couple days. Yeah, I saw that too. It seems substantiated though. I looked into this as well. I've never played any Metal Gear game besides Phantom Pain, and it's one of those. It's always been like one of those blind spots for me. So if there's like one person that feels emboldened in the comments that like writes me a speech about why I should play these games, I'll do it. That's all it takes. You could be the one to make me play this franchise.
It's a bit tough to get into, especially that first one on PlayStation, because, just dated controls and whatnot. But man, the story is just wild. Like it's
yeah, people love these things. This is like on the what do you call it? Like what's the mountain with all the faces in it with the presidents?
Mount Rushmore.
Thank you very much. It's like the video game Mount Rushmore. It's like, totally. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's one of those. It's like one of those actual franchises. So yeah.
Nice. Yeah, it might be fun to revisit when it comes out. So that's all. Those are my main highlights, or the main highlights that stood out to me. How about? Is there anything else you guys want to touch on that we haven't yet?
Joey, do you have one? I
do have one. Is it Batman? Because I want to talk about Batman.
Mine's different. Please.
Okay. Yeah. Like on one hand, like these are just straight up ports, right? They're probably just gonna be straight up ports of like the Arkham collection, and I'm curious about Arkham Knight though, because Knight did not come out on 360 and PS3 like the first 2 Arkham games did. So I'm going to be curious to see how well that runs on Switch. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm sure many people are probably thinking, okay, it's probably just too late for these games. Like, they're going to come out in the fall and people are just going to largely forget about them. But I'm just like, I'm excited to jump back in, like, play these games portably because I don't own a Steam Deck. These games are fantastic. The combat is just some of the best combat I've ever seen in video games. And they're really good Metroidvanias too. And, I've been missing Metroid on my Switch. So these are like the next best things for me. Yeah, just huge fan of those games. Sad Arkham Origins isn't here, but I guess Warner Bros. Just wants you to forget about Arkham Origins, which is sad. Yeah,
I mean, Arkham Knight's, I think, 8 years old at this point, and it's still like one of the best looking video games probably ever.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of curious. I just want to see how this thing ends up looking on Switch. Super curious if the Arkham City is the armored edition. that was on the Wii U.
I doubt it will be, but that'd be interesting.
Deep cut.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe it is. So, like, Star Wars The Force Unleashed, it was the Wii version for some reason.
So true, right.
So, yeah, okay, a couple of announcements that I thought were dope as heck. Penny's Big Breakaway from the Sonic Mania devs. This was that 3D platformer, the girl with the yo-yo.
Yep.
Looked awesome. Looked awesome. I don't normally go for these kinds of games, like the Hat in Times, ukuleles, like this, but this one spoke to me. That yo-yo mechanic seemed really fun to use. It was like mascot platformer meets Spider-Man meets Batman's greatest villain, the Joker. So it was, you know what I mean? So I thought that was a really good time, and like fit into the direct, was like good for the pacing of it all. Similarly, MythForce, another indie game that was like the 90s cartoon inspired one.
Right.
It's like a roguelite with different character classes. I like can't wait to play that game. That game spoke to me just like as a gamer. I was like, oh hell yeah, this is the kind of thing that I just eat up. Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince. Either you Dragon Quest fans at all?
Not really, at all.
Okay, but yeah, this looked like it was. There's been like Dragon Quest Monsters games before, and this looked like a really cool spin on it because it's like it's Pokemon-esque, but Dragon Quest. You're collecting these monsters, you're making them fight, and in this one you can fuse them together. And they showed a bunch of fusions, and they just like looked like fun and zany, and it definitely like got in my head, and I was like, oh man, this is actually like a system I want to engage with. So again, that was like another thing that really worked for me. Star Ocean, Persona 5 Tactica. Again, these are games I want to buy, and I was excited to see in this presentation. So this probably speaks to why I liked this Direct so much. But yeah, like all of the little announcements really hit for me, and I think it's really funny that the one thing I have not said was Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, considering how much it was in this frickin' thing.
I forgot that was even there.
Opened up the show for a whole
started
5
the
minutes.
Direct. Yeah, I think that second DLC looks cool. Looks like you get a whole new open world to explore. Second one's always better. Classic, DLC campaigns. But yeah, other than that, the only thing that really sticks out in my mind is that we didn't get Tears of the Kingdom DLC, but we got Amiibos.
Yeah, we did get Amiibo.
Getting all choked up on me, Jake.
Yeah, yeah.
Let's bring Jake to Tears.
Yeah,
Tears of the Kingdom.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I'm actually a little surprised that was there without anything larger, just because that could have been like a Twitter thing, but whatever. There was one other big game we didn't touch on though, probably because we've seen a decent amount before. Pikmin 4. We got a better breakdown of how that game works. We saw the Explain the Night stuff a little bit, including the fact that you have these glow Pikmin, I believe, that now only come out at night. So that's cool. I'm liking almost everything I've seen in that game. Anytime I see skill trees or skill tree-like things or those upgrade things, I'm like, it's a little weird. Feels a little too gamey for me, but I'm sure it's not a major point. But yeah, the night stuff's cool. I was expecting a little bit more. I was hoping for a bit more of a tower defense-like thing, and I'm getting a more of a like hard mode vibe from it. It's like, hey, it's the same world, harder enemies, one type of Pikmin, and different objectives. I think it's cool. Changes up the game. Still not quite sure how it fits in yet. Like, why do I want to go there at night? But I'm sure we'll see. So I'm thinking the game itself, I'm excited for. It's looking great.
Yeah, what gets me though is that they keep teasing that house. They're like, here's a house for 2 seconds, and then they cut away from it.
Love
like,
that
no,
house.
Show me that house. Show me that house, Nintendo. I want to know.
Yeah, every clip of that house, titillation meter off the charts. That like. Man, they know what they have with that house. It's funny, I think we're different in that I saw the skill trees and I was like, come to daddy. Yeah. I feel like that plays into what they're doing with the created characters and how you can kind of like build out your character different, which is always something that kind of speaks to me in games. But yeah, Pikmin 4, it's so weird. I've got like a passion for Pikmin 4 for some reason. Pikmin 1, 2, 3, I was never like standing there like, oh man, I can't wait for this to come out. Pikmin 4, definitely like one of my top 3 most anticipated games. I think that camera angle does so much for me. Every time they're just running around throwing Pikmin, riding Ochi, which is another thing I really love. Yeah. It's like all these small little changes that, again, it kind of has that early Nintendo Switch energy of going back to the drawing board a little bit and seeing like, okay, how can we reinvent this in a way that might pull more people in? So that looks really exciting to me. It's so weird that we haven't had like a deep dive on multiplayer, particularly online yet, which is something, like that's like my biggest question. Yeah. So because I think there's got to be something there, especially since we are creating our characters so they'll stand out from each other. Yeah,
I'm actually not convinced. I don't know. They did show split screen, and I'm thinking that might be it. That actually is probably it, and that means they haven't talked about co-op yet either, which means that is probably not here, which sucks. But that was a great addition to Pikmin 3. Made it more enjoyable, more playable, I think, and it's too bad that they're stepping away from that, seemingly, from what we know.
That's fine. I don't have any friends anyway. I don't care.
I really like playing Pikmin 3 co-op. It does look like, so I reported on this, there is a leak. We do know about one co-op mode, but it stinks. And it's like you share Joy-Con, and the first person controls your little character, and the other person is the reticle.
That's stupid. That is so, you don't even need an official mode to do that, probably, you know?
No, exactly. That's why it's so lame. Yeah,
Yeah, Mario Galaxy did something similar.
It was dumb then. And Mario Odyssey did it too. It's just like, hey, you can control the hat, player 2, and I'm like, nobody likes this. I guess
in that case, you could do it a little bit more than Mario could by himself. But yeah,
at least in Odyssey, when you possess somebody, that person gets to play as them. So you're sharing a little bit.
Oh, that's true. That actually was better than Galaxy.
Yeah. So that is Demo, June 28th. I'm excited.
Oh, that's right.
Pikmin 4.
On the calendar. We got to stream that, so that'll be cool. That covers the broad strokes of the Direct, at least the biggest announcements. So, do we have any other thoughts about it now that we've gone through it in a very itemized fashion? How are we still feeling? What was and more specifically, what was your biggest moment of this Direct? What spoke to you? What are you most excited for from this?
Like, you saw my reaction to you saw my reaction to Batman, right? Like, because I've been asking for those ports for God knows how long at this point. I'm just kind of surprised they're even coming out. Like, I thought the dream was dead. But like, I wouldn't really say like I'm just dummy excited for it. Like, I'm marking my calendar for it. Yeah, that's a really good question, because I think
about having a crisis.
I'm having a crisis because, like, also just the fact that everything's coming out in October. Stop, game developers, game studios, just delay your games,
including
please.
I think isn't even Sonic possibly coming out then now too?
The same week as Super Mario Bros. Wonder.
I love that. Glorious,
beautiful. Just absolutely.
What a time we live in, by the way, where there's 2 exciting 2D installments in 2 of the biggest platformer game series. That's really exciting that they both look really good.
Yeah, that does look really good. I'm excited for WarioWare. I think that's just what I'm coming back to.
It's a sleeper hit. That's gonna be a fun one.
I love smooth moves, so I'm definitely looking forward to giving some more smooth moves.
Yeah, for me, it's got to be Wonder. Wonder made me feel about a 2D Mario game a way that I didn't think they were capable of making me feel. Yeah. And, like legitimate, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not even kidding. Like I can't believe the way that game, that trailer was able to like capture my excitement and really just like, I don't know, so many things, when a game first gets revealed, so many things and like questions like come into your mind about like how it's gonna play and what this mechanic's gonna be like and like the story. And for me, the only thing that came into my mind watching that trailer was like, oh my God, I can't wait I'm gonna have so much fun playing this. Like, I can't wait to play it. I'm gonna like play it with my fiance and we're just gonna have a ball. And yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Especially now that they fixed the multiplayer from how it worked before.
Except I'm gonna be Yoshi though, and I'm gonna be like, yo, this part's getting a little hard. Let's go, jump on, let's go. You know,
I love that. No, I think I'm right there with you, Jake. I think that for me, that's the big moment of this Direct. Like a 2D Mario, that's exciting. Like, I'm also a little jealous that you're able to experience the feeling of it making you feel about 2D Mario in a way you never thought you could. Because this is how painful it's been for me. I've known that feeling. I've known that 2D Mario can make you feel, and it hasn't in 20 years. So it's awesome that I'm finally getting that again. I can finally relive, like, yes, this is how 2D Mario should have been all this time. And that's
hilarious. You're right, because I was never disappointed. because I just thought that's what it was. You know what I mean?
Right.
I never had that. I literally, they did that stupid one for 3DS where it's like, oh, collect all the coins.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, these idiots will play anything. I just,
Oh my god. Looking back too, especially because the coins literally did not do anything. There was no reason to collect them at all. It made no sense at all. But I know some people were like New Super Mario Brothers 2 or any of them, also. I don't want to crap on it too much, but like divorcing myself of my breakdown of how my problems with those games, if you sit me down at one, I'll play through a world. I'll have no memory of it. Like I go into autopilot with those games. There's nothing there to like hook me and make me think about anything. I don't think that's going to happen with this game. I feel like it's going to engage me, and that's what I'm really excited for. Like a 2D game I want to play, keeps me engaged. I'm actually thinking about what I'm doing, and it's not putting me on autopilot. So I can't wait for this.
I think, for one, I didn't watch the trailer again a second time yet. I've only saw it initially during the direct. So a part of me, I should probably like refresh my memory on it. But I think this is a game that I won't know if I'm excited for it until I finally play it, if that makes sense. I feel like these games are way better displayed when you have the controller in your hand and you like actually know what you're in for, because part of me is still like thinking maybe this will just be a new Super Mario's game but with a better art style. And the problem with new Super Mario Bros. Games for me is that it's not that they just look dull. It's also just because, like you said, Andre, there's nothing there that sticks with you, and that's what I'm worried about with Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I wouldn't say I'm worried about it, but that's what I'm a little bit concerned about. Like, what if I just feel the same way I do about the new Super Mario Bros. Games? And
I like this analysis. Yeah, this makes sense to me because you even see it in the trailer where moments are created that kind of stop the gameplay. Like there's a part where like all of the characters kind of like shriek up because like something happened. And like you don't like that kind of thing in New Super Mario Brothers. We don't see it too often. And even just like grabbing the flower and the world coming alive, like that's like a moment all of a sudden that you can describe, and somebody else that has played the game will go, I know what you're talking about. Whereas in the past, what did you do? Oh, I was in the desert level.
Yeah, right.
And it's like, oh, okay.
Like I can't even describe to you like how magical it was, like finding a raccoon leaf or a tanuki leaf for the first time and flying into the air. It's like, whoa, what can I do up here? Or the coin ships that would appear on the map. Like those classic games were filled with those moments, and I feel like the new ones weren't. So it's fun that it seems like we may have those again. Although real quick, I was reminded of two things I want to bring up about this game. One, it might just be me. I hate the talking flowers. I hate them. The fact that they verbally talk is annoying me already, and I hope that's not too annoying in the actual game.
Or they should at least include a setting where you can turn the voice acting off.
Yeah, well, they won't do that. Coming from the developer that added talking to the 2D games, what's Mario say? Like something about being lucky. I
don't remember.
I don't know. Lucky, whatever it is. So annoying. Anyways, 2 is Jake, you had a video about this with Mario and I guess Wario to an extent, possibly in the Wario game, with them sounding maybe a little different, but I don't think it's anything.
I don't think
it seems to be a big talking point. Yeah, it's people just don't know what Mario sounds like, divorced of those sound samples we've been hearing for like 10 years. So.
Yeah, exactly. Like it really sounds like they just got him to record new stuff.
Right.
Also, I know this is for some reason a flaming hot take, but if it is somebody else, I'm okay with that. Yeah. Like that's fine. I don't, it's like I don't know. I'm used to like comic books where you see like different artists' renditions of things all the time, and I just like I'm not completely unattached to the idea of like having somebody else do the voice. But on the topic of the talking flower, I actually like that because I think it's alarming. I think like that's kind of the point, is that it's like shocking that this is in a Mario game and like you run by it and he comments on what you're doing. It's like a weirdly it's kind of like what we were saying before. I think it's like trying to punctuate a moment a little bit.
Yeah, it might be.
Yeah. There's even the moment where the elephant power up, where it's like, oh my god, that Goomba's so serene, and then he kicks him, and the flower's like, oh god, it's like that's fun. Like I'm into that.
Yeah, it could be interesting. So we'll see. It's definitely different, and it's not going to be a game breaker for me in any case. So, but yeah, the game itself is looking amazing. And there's one other thing I was going to mention about, but I forget at this point. So whatever.
More playable characters are definitely going to be in that game. It's not just going to be what was revealed. Wario will be back. Mark my words.
Whoa.
Yeah, he's coming back.
I want, you know what? I hope Wart is back in this. I hope this is the time to bring Wart back.
That would be so hype. Oh my
That'd be-
god!
that'd
Plus,
be
we don't know
amazing.
we don't even know what the little caterpillar does yet.
Yeah, we don't. Although we do have a theory video coming out.
I got a
soon,
theory.
if not already.
I mean,
out.
I know. They don't know. They don't.
They don't know. Well, they might know,
Yeah, no.
depending on when we post both of those videos.
Right,
both
right,
of these videos. All right, I think that's gonna wrap up for us here, everyone. Thank you so much for watching our look back on the Direct a few days later. I think it's safe to say we're all very excited by it. Like, often for me, like, I cool off from a Direct, but this one I'm still feeling really good about. And also, shout out again to Mario RPG. Like, I don't want to undersell that game because the fact that it exists at all is still kind of shocking, and I hope it opens the door to maybe us finally getting a sequel down the line. But I'm just happy that they haven't forgotten the game, and that people can experience that game for the first time for what I think is still one of the strongest entries in the Mario RPG, Paper Mario, Mario & Luigi line. Again, partially because it was like the first game to flesh out the Mushroom Kingdom. So it's awesome people can experience that for the first time. So with that, everyone, thank you for watching. Let us know what you thought of the Direct in the comments below. What was your favorite game? What did you think overall? Let us know, and we'll catch you later. Bye, everyone.